Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, and we are we're in another universe. It's really beautiful here. We're on Mackinac Island, and we are at the Grand Hotel for the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce's annual policy conference. And we have with us, and I'm going to see if I can do this right. Armen Hratchian.
Love it.
All right, there you go. There you go. Executive Director of Teach America Michigan. So you have the Michigan branch, so to speak. Let's talk about what Teach America is.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. So Teach for America for 35 years has been recruiting the very best leaders out of colleges to come into classrooms that have largely been under-resourced and unstaffed, right? And to be great teachers and then to grow in their leadership over time and to really care about what we think is the most important civil rights challenge of our century, which is education, quality education. And we know in a state like Michigan, right, today, 400,000 students went to school in schools that are under-resourced from high poverty communities where just about everybody else in their schools also growing up in poverty. And we know, Chris, that the outcomes for those students are half as strong as they are for kids that are growing up in more affluent and diverse
Well, they have half the opportunity.
That's right.
They start behind the eight ball, so to speak.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so that's the thrust of it. It's like basically let's bring standards up, let's bring opportunity up in those areas of need.
Yeah, because in those schools, and just to right size this, 1.2 million students in Michigan, right? 400,000 of them are growing up in the condition where opportunity is limited, both in their school but also in their communities broadly.
Yeah.
And we know that that is, in our mind, systemically leaving behind a generation of kids
Yeah.
from our economic opportunities in this state, right? And we know, as you all know, these are folks that can contribute to the economy. These are folks that are going to create the next businesses. And if you are investing into this number of kids that then aren't given that opportunity, it's a real missed opportunity for the state, right? So that's what we're up to. Here in Michigan, we've shifted this agenda a bit. So instead of recruiting more teachers, we do some of that, but instead of recruiting them, we're now investing into retaining the very best in those schools already. We have a teacher crisis in this
Yeah, we
state,
do.
right? And we know that the most important input for the kids that we most want to serve is the quality of a teacher in the classroom. And the schools that are most under-resourced are also the schools where we have uncertified teachers, more teacher attrition, teacher burnout, all the challenges, right? So we shifted our strategy 4 years ago here in the state of Michigan to invest into retaining the very best educators in the schools and communities where they're needed the most.
That need it the most, okay? Because what does happen often is the better teachers move to different districts.
Well, yeah, Bloomfield Hills can come pick off the Detroit teacher and pay them a little bit more, maybe offer better supports, etc. That's not Detroit's fault.
Yeah.
That's that
Yeah.
we're navigating a system at that point that's under resourced, that's trying to keep the roof, repaired, right?
Well, when people compare districts, I always say, okay, take the kids from that one and put it there, and the ones from there and you'll see what district. It's going to be a different district that performs. It's the demographic in it in many cases.
That's exactly right. And your viewers know like this talent is the most important input. And you're talking about educating 1.2 million kids. Like it is a human intensive project, right? To do this. The educator workforce, about 75,000 teachers and leaders in our schools today. It's the largest public workforce that the state has. We don't think about it that way because it's across 500 districts, right? So we think about it as 500 small organizations. Actually, it's a single public investment. And we are not doing enough in that public investment to ensure that our kids have the best educators in front of them every day and the best supported educators.
Well, the other thing we do in education is we promote teachers out of the classroom, because they all think they've got to move up. And,
That's right. I talk about this all the time. I always talk about this. If you're the Detroit Lions and you have somebody like Aiden Hutchinson, do you move him up to the general manager's?
Yeah.
He's so good. Let's make him president. No, of course not. Same thing with cardiologists. You leave them doing surgeries, right? And they provide that much value to the hospital. In education, the teacher is providing the most value. And yet, if you want to get paid more, if you want to move up in leadership, we promote you to principal or you start to seek out central office roles. You get further away from the kids. And we should flip the model.
Yeah.
Our best teachers should be the ones that are paid the most in our systems because they're not only creating the best conditions for their students right now,
Yeah.
but they also model the standard for all the other teachers. They mentor other teachers. They create the conditions. We always talk about who's creating the conditions for other adults to be successful. It's that very best teacher in that hallway.
It's a funny thing because you talk about those kids of need and the importance they are to tomorrow. We also have to remind ourselves, one way or another, whether they succeed or fail, we're going to pay for them. And I'd much rather pay for them in the form of salary than in building a jail cell.
Well, that's we think about this all the time. Like, what's the opposite of economic opportunity, right? It's economic disenfranchisement. It's being ostracized from the economy. It's all these. So we can break that cycle in the education system in classrooms every single day, and to not just we think about opportunity not just being economic opportunity, but engage in our civic infrastructure, raising their own kids, buying houses, all the things, right? And
Yeah.
and it's an investment that's worth making. We talk all the time. Investing into quality teachers is the best economic bet the state can make.
Just remember, there's nobody as overpaid as a bad teacher or as underpaid as a good one. So we got to break that too. Armen Hratchian, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
He is the director of Teach America Michigan. And thank you all for being with us. You've been watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman, coming to you from Mackinac.